The most famous and iconic yandere, for some a symbol of love, for others the very definition of obsession, Yuno Gasai. To some people, a hated character. To others, a beloved one. Today we'll break down whether she belongs in heaven or hell, whether her actions and her murders can be justified, or if they're beyond redemption. Today, we'll find out.
Yes, I'm just as curious to see how today ends, and I can't wait for you to tell me exactly how many people she's killed. You told me the number before, and I must say, it surprised me.
Before we dive into her crimes, let's take a moment to truly understand the mind of Yuno Gasai. Every drop of blood, every scream, every body that fell, began here, in her mind. Without this, none of what she did would make sense. Yuno's story is not just about violence. It's about a little girl locked in a cage by her own parents. She spent days staring at cold metal bars, hearing nothing but silence. To survive, she created her own rules where love meant total obedience, and punishment came without warning.
So, she was like a broken porcelain doll, waiting for someone to pick her up and keep her forever?
Exactly. When she met Yukiteru, he became her oxygen. Not a boyfriend, a lifeline. When you see someone as your only reason to live, you stop caring about morals, laws, or how many people stand in your way.
Anything sounds so romantic when you say it like that, Sensei, even if anything includes murder.
Clinically, Yuno fits multiple profiles: borderline personality disorder, intense emotions, unstable self-image, and extreme fear of abandonment, but also narcissistic traits and antisocial tendencies, which make her unpredictable and lethal. She wasn't killing for fun. She was killing to protect the fragile little world she built around one boy. And in her mind, that was love.
Okay, enough psychology. I want to see the bodies. How many was it again, Sensei? Oh, and my favorite.
117. And we're about to watch short kill montage. Knife through the chest, axe to the skull, poisoned drink, strangulation with wire, crossbow bolt through the neck.
The shovel to the face.
She didn't just kill. She adapted. Locked one victim in a burning building, pushed another off a rooftop, and she made one disappear without leaving a single trace.
She was like the Swiss Army knife of murder.
117, and each one a step closer to keeping her happily ever after. Now, before we get into the full body count, let's take a closer look at 3 of Yuno's most emotionally charged killings. These are not just about numbers, they're about the kind of moments that burn themselves into your memory. First, the boy with the diary, Ryusuke Hujo, a child. You might think a kid is off limits, but for Yuno, this wasn't about age, it was about threat elimination. She treated him exactly like she would any other player, methodical, cold, and fast.
Oh, I loved that scene. The way she didn't hesitate, like a cat swatting down an annoying little mouse. And that final moment, the look in her eyes, it was pure dominance. She knew she was winning.
It showed us that for Yuno, the game had no safe zones. If you were in her way, you were already dead. The second, Akise Aru. The silver-haired boy, one of the few people who could match her in wit. That final confrontation was almost poetic.
And the way she killed him, up close, personal. It wasn't just murder. It was a declaration. She was saying, Yuki is mine, and I will erase anyone who tries to claim him.
Yes. And the fact she did it without hesitation, even knowing he was valuable as an ally. That's obsession on a level most people can't even comprehend. And finally, herself.
Oh, that moment still gives me chills. She wasn't running away. She wasn't losing. She chose to end it. It was her final proof that Yuki was her everything.
It's rare to see a yandere turn the blade inward. Most cling to life no matter what. But Yuno, she'd already won in her own mind. Her death was her final gift to him. Now that we've revisited some of Yuno's most emotionally charged kills, let's take a step back and look inside her mind. Not the blood, not the chaos, but the why. The core programming of someone like Yuno Gasai.
Finally. I've been waiting for this part. Everyone always talks about what she did, but not many can understand why she did it.
Exactly. On the surface, she looks like a violent, unpredictable girl who just snaps when things don't go her way. But that's the shallow view. The truth is, Yuno was operating under a very clear internal logic. She was driven by 3 primary psychological mechanisms, and all of them revolved around one person. Yukiteru.
The obsession point. Yes, I like this one. Tell them, Sensei. Tell them how everything in her universe existed just for him.
The first mechanism, obsessive fixation. Once Yuno attached herself to Yukiteru, her entire perception of reality narrowed. Nothing else mattered, not survival, not morality, not society. Only him. She didn't just love him. She erased everything else that could compete for her loyalty. This is why even the idea of losing him was enough to trigger extreme actions.
And honestly, I get it. If someone is yours, completely yours, then letting them go is just not an option.
The second mechanism, absolute pragmatism in crisis. When most people face danger, they hesitate. They think about consequences, morality, the right thing to do. Yuno? She acted instantly. Whether it was killing a stranger, sabotaging an ally, or destroying evidence, she made the move without blinking. Because in her mind, hesitation was the real danger.
This is where I think she was brilliant. She wasn't crazy when she killed. She was efficient. She calculated the threat, removed it, and moved on. That's strategy, not madness.
The third mechanism, emotional calculation. Yuno could commit the most brutal acts while feeling genuine emotion. She could cry, shake, even say "I'm sorry," and still slit your throat if you stood in her way. This is the part that scares people, because it's not cold sociopathy. It's something much more dangerous. Emotional killers who believe they're doing the right thing.
Oh, I like that part. Killing while your heart is pounding, because you're feeling it, not because you're numb. That's real passion.
Exactly. And when you combine those 3, obsessive fixation, absolute pragmatism, and emotional calculation, you don't get a random killer. You get a weapon with one target, one goal, and no off switch. And that's why people like me admire her. She wasn't evil in her own eyes. She was loyal. She was faithful. She did what she had to do to protect her one person. But loyalty at that level comes with a price. Every threat is magnified. Every rival is an enemy. And every betrayal, real or imagined, must be punished. For Yuno, it wasn't optional. It was survival.
And this is the part I wonder about. If Yukiteru had fully accepted her from the start, would she still have killed so many? Or would she have just locked him away and kept him all to herself?
That's the paradox. Because in her mind, killing was never the goal. It was the maintenance, the upkeep of her perfect little world with him at the center. Without threats, she could have been peaceful, loving, the perfect girlfriend, until someone looked at him for half a second too long. And then the cycle would begin again. That's the psychology of Yuno Gasai. Not a monster without reason, but a tactician of love operating on a battlefield no one else could see. Now, let's break this down. If we were to score Yuno Gasai, her actions, her motives, her results, how would it look? Let's start with the positives.
Oh, my favorite part. People always forget the good in someone like her.
Positive 1. Unquestionable loyalty. Every single move she made, no matter how brutal, was rooted in protecting Yukiteru. That kind of singular focus is rare. Most killers act out of greed, fear, or hate. Yuno acted out of devotion.
Exactly. And devotion is beautiful, even if it means stepping over a few bodies along the way.
Positive 2. High threat elimination rate. In raw tactical terms, she neutralized almost every danger that came close. Without her, Yukiteru would have died early in the game.
She didn't just protect him, she made sure he could breathe without fear. That's priceless.
Positive 3. Emotional resilience. Despite constant danger, betrayal, and loss, she kept functioning. Most people break down after a single traumatic event. Yuno turned her pain into action.
That's what makes her strong. Pain wasn't her weakness. It was her fuel.
But we can't ignore the negatives.
Fine. But keep it fair.
Negative 1. Excessive preemptive strikes. Some of her kills were unnecessary. She sometimes acted before a threat was confirmed, which means a few victims might have survived if she'd waited.
Or they could have been plotting. You can't always see a threat until it's too late, Sensei. She just made sure too late never came.
-2. Collateral damage. Not every victim was directly targeting Yukiteru. Some deaths were unfortunate bystanders.
In her world, bystander just means potential enemy in disguise.
-3. Over-dependence. Yuno's entire existence revolved around Yukiteru. While it fueled her strength, it also made her predictable. Her enemies could exploit that.
Predictable, yes, but still unstoppable.
So where does that leave her score? If we weigh the motives against the methods, most of her killings were, in her mind, self-defense or defense of someone else. The case of killing her parents is complex, trauma and survival instincts tangled together, and Yukiteru himself, he forgave her. Which means, in their world, the ultimate judge already passed a verdict.
That's why I can't call her evil. She didn't kill for sport, she killed for love.
Which brings us to the final judgment. If you strip away the blood and look at her through the lens of loyalty, love, and necessity, does she belong in heaven or in hell?
I already know my answer.
Now, let's break this down. If we were to score Yuno Gasai, her actions, her motives, her results, how would it look? Let's start with the positives.
To me, it's not even a question. Yuno Gasai was a blade sharp, dangerous, yes, but forged in love.
The world saw a killer. I see a protector. She was violent, yes, but in her own code. Every drop of blood had a reason. And in the end, her greatest crime was loving too much.
If that's a sin, then I'd burn with her.
Which is why, if we measure her by her own reality, by her motives, by Yukiteru's forgiveness, she walks through heaven's gates. That's our verdict. But what about you? Do you agree with us, or do you think Yuno belongs somewhere else?
Tell us in the comments, Darklings. We want to know every detail of your thoughts.
And if you enjoyed this journey into her mind,
don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our next obsession.